2015 meeting of the Litchfield Mosquito Control District. This is our first meeting for 2015. I'm Chairman John Latcher. To my right is Vice Chairman Dave Tate. To my left is District Member Al Raccio and former Selectman Al Raccio. I'd like to thank Anthony for doing our cable, and I'd like to thank Donna Burrell for doing our meeting minutes. So I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair will call the roll. Vice Chairman Dave Tate.
Present.
District Member Al Raccio.
Present.
And I'm here. Let the record show that all members are present. Before I begin public input, I'd just like to say for the record that this meeting was posted here at Town Hall and at the Town Library. Public input, is anybody from the public wishing to speak at this time? Hearing and seeing none. Just a word about public input. If you have any questions or concerns about the Litchfield Mosquito Control District, you can come down at any time. We'll move our agenda so you can speak as quickly as possible. And we appreciate from time to time people coming down and voicing their concerns. That way we can have a better understanding how we're perceived and the public is doing our job. Thank you very much. Okay. Approval of the minutes of October 23rd.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table the minutes till the next meeting in order to get opportunity for complete review of the documented.
Okay, that's November 20th, not October.
I'm sorry.
20th. Yeah, you're fine.
I thought.
It's all right. I'll go October. I'll start with October 23rd first, then you can make your motion, okay? Has everybody read the minutes for October 23rd, 2014? Yeah, I guess you weren't there.
I wasn't, yeah.
Right.
I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2014 meeting minutes of the Litchfield Mosquito Control District as written.
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Dave Tate. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Motion passes 2-0-1. Now the minutes for November 20th, 2014. Al?
Now I'd like to make a motion to table November 20th for additional review of full content.
I'll second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The ayes have it. Motion passes 3-0-0.
That's March 19th, correct? Tabled to March 19th.
Tabled to March 19th, 2015. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is Shayla Howell discussion. Shayla, would you like to come up and introduce yourself to the board? Before you begin, Shayla, I'd just like to ask you to state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Shayla Howell of 321 Simons Road, Ashby, Mass. I am currently a student at St. Anselm College. I'm studying nursing. As a part of my community health class, I am to investigate a community in the New Hampshire area. We chose Litchfield. I'm concerned with the environmental aspects of this community. And I guess to begin, I would like to know what the major concerns are with mosquito control. Like, are you concerned of disease, agricultural concerns, or just is it a nuisance? I'd really like to know what the driving force is behind taking such initiative this early in the year as to addressing this issue.
Al, would you
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
There's actually about 3 questions in your statement. So let's start out with...
It's not the beginning.
Yeah. Mr. Lasher was the founder of the Mosquito Control District based on a community need, which unfortunately included several of our citizens contracting EEE and going through a number of very serious iterations with that. Through his efforts, petitions were drawn, signatures were achieved. We did get the vote of the town, the support of the town, and basically the formation of the mosquito control district for the town of Litchfield went through. Subsequent to that, the district had several interchanges at the state level. We worked very closely with them, and Mr. Morrison, of course, is our prime contractor who provides services for monitoring and prevention. When we became more educated regarding this particular topic, mosquito control is a year-round effort. It's not a summer activity that comes and goes with cold weather. There are mosquitoes that continue to breed throughout the year. Of course, we talk about triple E a lot, but there's also tick, Lyme disease. Just recently, a new threat, and I must admit I'm at a loss. I'll be bringing it up a little bit later to the board. There is another tick-borne disease that has claimed a life that is not native. So while we think in terms of mosquitoes and summer and propellants and repellents and things of that sort, this activity supports a year-round initiative that meets our fundamental charter as a district, and that is public awareness, public education, and public safety. Our charter is founded on that. Our key objectives are driven by that, and that does not answer your question, why are we here so early? We're actually late.
Okay.
The 2015 mosquito season is on us as soon as we transition from December to the 1st.
Okay.
Doesn't stop. I'm sure John and Dave have other valid opinions. I don't think we can do enough for our townspeople, our wives, our children, our grandchildren. Many of us have multiple generations that live here in Litchfield. And it's those individuals that drive the community that makes this activity an unfunded board, an unfunded committee, volunteer their time, our time, to keep that momentum going. Mr. Chairman?
Thanks, Al. Just some of the things that we do too in town is we treat our catch basins in town, and we have that coordinated with our road agent, because the road agent during the springtime, because of the salt and the sand that's on the road, cleans out the catch basins. So we have that coordinated with him to make sure that we don't treat the catch basins and then have them cleaned out. So that's one of the things that we do too. We have some testing that is done in town. We have some test sites, and that's goes through our contracted service provider. Those mosquitoes are sent to the state for testing. As far as we also treat some of our wetlands with a chemical called Anique. I can write it down. I'll give you the information in a minute and
Okay.
the correct spelling. And what that does is it forms, actually, once they treat the water, it actually forms a film over the water, and it keeps the mosquito larvae from actually moving up through the water to get oxygen. So they're unable to do that. So what happens is they drown. That's just another way that they treat mosquitoes. And another way that we another thing that we do in town is we do barrier applications. And I take barrier applications very seriously, as Al and Dave does when we make a decision to barrier applicate the town. This year, I contacted the health officer from Derry, and I contacted the health officer from Manchester. And I spoke to them in regards to Londonderry testing positive for triple E. I wanted to basically get their opinion of whether they're going to barrier spray at that particular time or not. And they told me they were going to use a wait-and-see approach. The next day, their testing came back positive for triple E. So that's how fluid things are during the spring and the summertime, where things change so fast. With that being said, we made the decision to go ahead and barrier spray applicate our town. And we do that at all the recreational fields, obviously soccer fields, baseball fields. We do it at our 3 schools because they all have outside sports going on. And our concern is the students that have practice late in the evening, where mosquito activity is really at its highest point. So we had a concern about that. And what barrier spraying is they have a truck, and the application is put on the tree line around the circumference of the area being barrier applicated. And the barrier application adheres to the tree leaves. And that application lasts for approximately around 6 weeks, depending on weather conditions. Obviously, if you have a lot of rain that happens, it diminishes the extent of time that the application is good for. This year, one of our things that we want to do for an environmental reason, a method of mosquito control is we want to set up some bat boxes at certain locations in the town of Litchfield, and we want to work with our Conservation Commission by doing that. The Vice Chairman of the Conservation Commission actually sat on our board at the very beginning of the Mosquito Control District, because we wanted to. All of us here were concerned about how the environment would be affected. And Joan is an expert as far as the town, as far as environmental issues. So we had her on our board, and we actually used her knowledge of town to try to keep everything as conservational friendly as possible. So we're always thinking about conservation on this board. And our contractor, Municipal Pest Management Services, Michael Morrison, also takes the environment seriously as well. Dave, would you like to add anything?
I think you pretty well covered it. I mean, you didn't, maybe some of the education that we do at,
Yeah.
at some of the
Maybe
sporting events.
maybe you can talk about that too. Yeah.
Different, when the town has activities, we'll have booths and hand out information and talk to people just to help how to protect themselves.
Right.
That type of thing, involve the schools.
And we've used cable TV. We've actually got some free literature from the state. I can give you these anyway. These are free from the state. All you have to do is call and ask them for them. And we distributed over 1,000 of these flyers and literature to area businesses as well as the 3 school districts. And they've been very, very helpful with us. Anything that we've asked for the school district, they've been more than helpful. And we use, obviously, our local cable channels for slides that we put on during the spring and summer months. Al, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, just in summary, we work very closely with, as Chairman said, the road department for coordinating our drainage. We work closely with conservation for the environmental impacts, to conserve our wetlands, as well as Litchfield is the host of several protected lands that we also have an obligation to preserve and maintain. And in recent years, extremely closely with our health officer, Mr. Kevin Lynch, who tightly couples our commission and committee with the state health awareness team. So together as a unified front, although we're a small committee with an important charter, we do interface and integrate with our town departments, providing a better service to the public. From the environmental impacts, the practices that the board fundamentally laid down and then was imposed on the Mosquito Control District, and I'm sorry, that would be from the Board of Selectmen as the formations took place, actually helped us formulate these positions of protection and service. And I think it's worked out as a taxpayer and citizen personally here to the better of our community. What we've also failed to mention that is in the first 4 years of our committee, we returned a little over 80% of the taxpayer burden in town refunds and state refunds in reimbursement fees.
Yeah, it's about $5,000 a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when the state had initiatives that were reimbursable, we found those, we engaged in those, and we returned those assets back to the taxpayer. One of our main charters that Chairman is going to be bringing up for our upcoming season is to continue to research local, county, state, and federal grant programs, as well as international grant programs for suppression of malaria and other mosquito-borne diseases that aren't in the forefront of our local community, but are a tremendous global burden against mosquito control. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
In the past, these methodologies you speak of, have they been effective? Have you noticed a decrease in the mosquito population?
Yes.
Significant?
Yes. Yes.
All you have to do is look across the statistics from the state of our bordering communities and look at the number of active EEE counts over the past 10 years. And you will historically graft out our surrounding communities go up, and the town of Litchfield on the curve in the past, what have we been doing this, 9 years now?
Yeah, this will be the 9th year.
Yeah. So in the past 9 years, Litchfield has reported less than 5 EEE events. And just look at that against our surrounding bordering communities, and that statistic alone will validate what Chairman is telling you and the effectiveness of the programs that the town of Litchfield has engaged in.
It's really I hate to call it a game, but it really is. It's a game of percentages. The more mosquitoes that we can try to, mosquitoes are good for the environment too. We realize that, but we're trying to target specific mosquitoes that carry the EEE virus and the Western Nile virus. That's what we're out to get. And the more of those mosquitoes that we can eliminate, the less chances of it happening to a human being in our town, or even on the outskirts of our town.
Well put, Chairman. The herbicides, pesticides that are used are genetically engineered to target specifically those mosquitoes that basically transmit triple E and West Nile.
Now, you just used the word pesticide. Is there any concern from the community with, especially like around like the soccer fields and stuff, concerning the children's health with pesticides, or are they tested to be safe?
They're tested to be safe.
Not only are they tested to be safe, the applications of the pesticides is in pellet form and it is deployed in the swamps. It's not an aerosol. It's not like you envision down in Mass with the smoking truck, right? These are very targeted, very, like I said, they are genetically engineered and targeted for the mosquito larvae, not the adult. Therefore, the spread of this pesticide is contained to the water environment, which is not deployed on any of the playgrounds, any of the schools.
Right.
So once again, that was through the work of Joan and Mr. Morrison,
Yeah.
and the directive from the town that we conduct a very safe and conservative position. As a matter of fact, 2 of our meetings, we actually demonstrated the amount of actual active pesticide deployed in an average season was less than 3 ounces
Here it is.
across the area. And I forget what
I
year we did that.
I actually
we
have
did that
that.
analysis.
I actually have that.
But
right
the
here.
actual active ingredient that would be potentially harmful is less than 3 ounces out of a lot.
I actually have that down here, yeah, if I can find it.
But to her point,
Yeah, it's in your packet, I think I put it in there.
we're very focused on
Let me see.
prevention of the spread.
Right
We
here.
even take active measures to while we suggest DEET, we don't really advocate you going out and taking a bath in it, right?
Right here, I asked them for municipal, that's how many ounces we use for all the fields, including school, the whole
Right.
barrier application.
So when you reduce
Right.
the 180 ounces
Yeah, you could tell
of
her how much we.
of the cross-check plus agent down to the active ingredient and the percentages of that to the carrier, we're down, it says here,
It was like 9 fields.
right, we use something like 180 ounces to 200 gallons of water, and when you do that reduction to the active ingredient,
Right.
you're down to less than 3 ounces of active ingredient across 200 gallons across 9 fields for barrier. That's only the barrier. But pointed to your question, the prevention chemicals and pesticides, those are in the water. Those are less than 1 ounce across all of our treated areas.
And those applications don't affect pets, amphibians, mammals, or microorganisms? And before you leave, I'll give you some technical information of the type of stuff that they do use in town. I have a bunch of packets here that I'll give to you before you leave, so you can have those too if you'd like.
Okay, and I guess my final question, you guys have been very thorough and answered them without me asking. There's so much snow this year, and I know that melting puddles of snow can be a huge breeding ground for mosquitoes. Is this heightening your concern for the season?
Yes, it actually is. the amount of snow that we have this year is obviously not the norm for the past winter storms that we've had over the last, 6 or 7 years.
Easily, yeah.
And our concern, well, our biggest concern is the puddling of the water in the wooded areas where the sun isn't going to be able to hit it that often. But there also is a benefit to this. When the mosquitoes lay their eggs, and now it's, during the spring when it could be standing water, once all the snow melts, how everything connects with each other, the water will actually flow faster, so it could wash all the mosquito larvae downstream instead of sitting in there producing mosquitoes. So there is a benefit. There's a positive benefit and there's a negative benefit of the snow. And my personal opinion is I think it's going to be a very, very active year for mosquito activity this year. I really do. Because it's going to take a very long time for stuff to really dry out.
So along those lines that Chairman has brought up, over the past few years, we've been focused on increasing our community's awareness of maintaining our drainage spillways and declogging the natural runoffs that we have. In addition to that problem, what you're looking at is the increase in vernal pools and vernal pooling. We have a lot of vernal pools throughout our community. These vernal pools will stay active for a period of time longer than normal that will also embed in the underlying vegetation a moisture body that will extend past the surface water, which can still sustain breeding mosquitoes. So the vernal pooling and the melting snow is going to extend that breeding period earlier. What would be idealistic is that if that breeding and vernal pool activity are early in the summer, then we have less chance of triple E, because if you historically look across all the records, triple E, the spread in the northern part of the country is typically late in the year or late in the season. So while we have all this premature vernal pool water, that cycle of mosquito life will have a lower probability of contracting triple E from the bird population than if it were to occur late in the summer. So while we are combatant for the first round of breeding, the vernal pooling and the retention of water is better, if there is a better, early in the season than late in the season when the bird virus is actually at its peak. As you look at September, early September is early September is the previous month's test from the state. That's usually the first time, at least for this community, that we come positive, if we're going to come positive. September is a big, we will typically see them late September.
That's the biggest time.
And then the first or last batch tested in October is when the state makes the decision whether to test again or not.
Right.
But that's why the ponding and early and the vernal pooling, yeah, that's an issue. But there's a very low probability of human infection at that point in time.
Sheila, I just wanted to let you know about another thing is, In 2014, this is the testing from the state. Okay. This year, from July 1st to October 17th, this year in the state, we've had 3 positive animal tests and 3 human positives for triple E. Okay. The last human case that we've had in the state of triple E was in 2009. Okay. So you're talking 5 years. And, yeah, knock on wood is right. And the animals testing positive was 3, which was the same in 2013. It was 4 in 2012, and then it goes up to 7 in 2009. West Nile virus, okay, we didn't have any animals positive and no humans positive, which was probably one of the biggest surprises I've seen. And we've had 1 mosquito batch test positive in 2014. In 2013, we had 14, and in 2012, we've had 41. So for it not to be positive for animals or humans for West Nile virus, like I said, I was very, very surprised. I thought it was a mistake. I actually called the state to ask if that was right.
Well, it shows that the state, our communities, are taking a serious offensive against a very dangerous disease.
Right. In West Nile virus and triple E, I don't know if you know the difference, if you researched it, or, but,
Yeah, I'm familiar, briefly.
right. The West Nile virus, you can get, obviously you get sick from West Nile virus. Some people just have minor symptoms, some people have some major symptoms, like chills, fever, etc. Triple E is the worst one, because triple E actually causes, you could either die. Most people that get triple E do die. It causes your brain to swell. And that's basically one of the reasons why I started the Mosquito Control District, because many years ago, there was a gentleman from New Hampshire who lost his daughter from triple E when she was only 17 years old. And from what I heard from that, I said we have to do something in our town to try to make that not happen to anybody's kid in our town, let alone any individual, grandparents, parents. And I was very serious about getting something done, and thank God we did get something done in town. So that's that. Dave, do you have anything you'd like to talk to her about? Shayla about? Okay.
Questions?
Shayla, if you have any additional questions, you can just go ahead and tell us now, or ask us now, or...
I think you covered everything very thoroughly, and thank you for your time and answering the questions.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're welcome at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good luck with your endeavors.
Thank you.
I got some literature I can give you. I'll give you all these. If you have time to read it.
Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. You have a great night. Thank you. Okay. Let me get my computer straightened out here. Okay. Sorry. Forget
I
it.
see
We won't
that's the table file
we won't talk
system,
about that
not
anymore.
DOS.
Believe me, we won't talk about that anymore. Okay. Maybe I should start bringing in some bottled water for everybody, because I'm losing my voice already. Okay, next is invoice 987. You guys have a copy of that? Should be on there.
Have reorganized things.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the October and November 2014 activities, final activities for 2014. That has been paid, so we're all set for this year. 2014 is all set.
Did Mike
Any
submit
questions on
did we get a final summary report from Mike?
Not that I know of. I can request it and get it back to you.
Did we ever, okay, so if we haven't requested
Right.
it, that explains it.
I don't know whether the
Typically-
town administrator requested it or not. I'm not sure.
Typically, we would request from Mike
Yeah.
a summary report for
Right.
close of the year that would have been utilized in a number of different artifacts,
Yeah.
of which one would have been a submission to the town for public record.
Okay.
As this
So-
is what our tax dollars were spent on, this is the end result of that expenditure, and it kind of closes everything out. So
Okay,
if we haven't,
so if
let's-
he's done that every year, I'm assuming that he has it, he just has to probably just give it to us, or,
we usually, we
Request it.
usually request it from Mike.
right,
We review it to make sure that we're compliant with what our previous year's budgets and warrants were based on, and then we would submit that to Jason as record.
all right, I'll ask him about that.
Now, if he doesn't require it, we don't need to burden Michael with the
Right,
extra
with
work.
the extra work, right,
Uh,
right,
But it would be nice to have for our records.
right. Okay, next is the permit for 2015. You guys got a copy of that? It's for the larvicide, et cetera, for our town. It's a pretty straightforward form.
Yeah, I
Al. You've
reviewed this.
seen
and
it before.
It looks.
And the
very
last page,
standard,
I signed it on December 8th, 2014. Just for the record, this special permit application is, the applicant is Municipal Pest Management Services, Inc., 19 Oak Terrace, Kittery, Maine. Zip code is 03904, and his telephone number is 603-431-0008, and the contact is Michael Morrison. And he also has an email, swampfixer@myfairpoint.net. Anybody have any questions?
Once again, the application is consistent with years past. What was nice to see is that there was no additional increase in federal fees against the application.
Right. Dave, you have anything?
That's it.
Okay. Next is the barrier application forms for the towns and the schools. This is the wording that we discussed at the last few meetings. I just basically put it down as a sample. I don't know if anybody has any additional things that they want, wording that they want to change. If they do, we can do it, but this will be like a standard form that we discussed. One
So
is for the
this
town,
is-
one is for the town and one is for the school.
This is basically to inform
Right.
the
The
school board and the
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen
Right,
of our intentions.
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Now, as I understand it, barrier spraying application is already a funded activity in this year's budget from the contract.
Yes.
As such,
Well,
these,
yeah, go ahead. I don't want you to lose your thought, go ahead.
well, my assumption is, and I'm looking to you to verify that,
Right,
we have funding in place
yeah,
for barrier application in the current contract.
yes.
Great. Under that position, when I read this, this says that the Litchfield Mosquito Control District recommends to the Board of Selectmen to prevent, or to provide a barrier application to all town recreation facilities. And then where it will take place and
Right.
date. I would suggest utilizing the language,
Okay,
this mosquito control district will be coordinating a barrier spray application
okay,
based on current conditions.
okay. I want to make sure I get it right. The Litchfield
Right.
mosquito control, yeah,
The Litchfield Mosquito Control District
yeah,
will be coordinating a barrier spray application due to current conditions
yeah,
and use the same language to take place on a date certain
okay,
for the town of Litchfield. What do we call, those aren't commercial those are, town of Litchfield, what am I looking for, Dave? The, town of Litchfield, not common properties, I've lost it. The parks and recreation, the town properties, right?
the facility,
Town facilities, common facilities, I've lost them.
all right, so,
Right. All I'm suggesting is we change the language to be an assertive position. The Board of Selectmen has granted us the money already to make those determinations and declarations.
right,
So these two communication letters should be informing the town and the school district that the information that this committee has got says we need the barrier spray and we need to do it now.
Okay.
We're funded and we're coordinating that activity.
all right, so the Litchfield
Right.
Mosquito Control District will be coordinating barrier spray applications due to current conditions. The barrier application will take place on blah, 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 2015.
Exactly.
By the town of Litchfield Municipal Pest Management Services, 19 Oaks Terrace, Kittery, Maine, 03094, just like that?
Yeah, and basically that is
Okay, then.
consistent. We inform Kevin and the school district and the Board of Selectmen as soon as we're made aware.
Okay,
And then the intent of these communications is to minimize the amount of time it takes from acknowledgement of a need to execution.
okay, now what about the school one?
Same words,
Same wording, okay,
same wording.
all right.
Now, the school has the option to tell us hands off.
Right, right,
In
right,
which, and the town could tell us too.
Yeah.
Hey, hands off, if there's an objection or a reason that they don't want us to do that,
okay.
right? They always have that option.
Okay, I'll rewrite that and then it should be all set.
Well, that's
Now-
just a suggestion,
Yeah,
right?
well, I don't have any problem with that. Do you,
That sounded
Dave?
good.
Now, do you want it to have, you want it to be just like this, John Ledger, Dave Tate, Al Ratcho, or do you just want to leave it
Yeah,
blank?
no,
All
that,
right, okay,
all it takes is any two of us,
two,
if
Right.
somebody's out of town or if
Right.
somebody's working, can't be getting a hold of, only takes it. And of course, in an emergency, it just takes any one of us
mhm,
to go to the town and say, hey, you know, we're in deep kimchi here.
okay. Next is, St. Francis School.
That's something.
We've talked about this over the years, Al can verify that we have, about them joining us when they're in town doing barrier applications for the town.
I looked into that a little more.
Okay.
And when you finish,
All right, okay,
I'll-
okay. I sent an email to Jason Hope, Town Administrator, and this is what I said to Jason. Do you have the copy of that?
That's right here.
Okay. Hi, Jason. I have asked our health officer, Kevin Lynch, to talk to St. Francis School about barrier applications if needed for the upcoming mosquito season. He told me they will contact him. How do we recommend we go about this from a town position, seeing that it is private property? Do they need a special contract with the town? Should we refer them to our vendor? I would like to get the correct info from you. Thanks. And this was Jason's response. John, the best way to handle this is to ask our vendor if they are willing to extend the same pricing and bill them directly. Extending our coordination and vendor relationship is nice to offer, but we can't really process a separate contract or handle the pass-through billing. So that was his response to that. So,
And basically, as we talked about this in previous years, I
Right.
did follow up.
yeah,
The town, as Jason has stated, cannot legally spend those taxpayer dollars on
private, right,
private,
Right.
private school.
right,
Or we would have to extend it to all private schools,
right.
not just one. So unfortunately, the intent is nice, the town was willing, we can't do it,
Right.
but it would be strongly recommended that St. Francis engage with
Right.
Michael
Right,
and contact us, or we will send a courtesy note to our people in St. Francis, whoever they are, that, oh, by the way, we're going to be barrier spraying.
Right.
You might want to consider, strongly consider contacting Michael
right, and like
and arranging with him on a separate initiative while he's in town. You may get a cost-effective break because he's not traveling specifically.
right,
Something along
in my
those
email,
lines.
I actually mentioned that Kevin talked to them, and Kevin told me that he's still waiting an answer from them.
So we've done our due diligence.
We've done it, yeah,
Yep.
we've done our due diligence on that. So, whether they, hopefully, maybe they will, maybe they
Well,
won't, but
and
we
again-
extended our hand to them
Right.
anyways.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay,
Covered the permit,
okay, next,
barrier application, schools,
Yeah.
St. Francis.
next is extending the board to additional members. I just want to comment on that for a minute. We obviously need probably maybe one more member, maybe as an alternate. That's my feelings on it. I don't think that we need 5 people on our board. We could use 4,
You
but
can't have 4, though.
I know,
If there is
But
an
it's-
alternate, it's a non-voting,
yeah, it's a non-voting position. I know
right.
that.
That's why
Um.
it's either 3 or 5. There's no,
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's no means in the RSAs to change that. Right,
Yeah, because we got that extended from.
exactly.
From our state representative.
But it sure doesn't hurt to have, I don't think this board has ever enjoyed 3 full and 2 alternates in its existence. But the bottom line need is 5, we all work for a living. None of us are retired.
No.
That complexity in scheduling, as we've seen this past year,
Yeah, I know.
has been less than cooperative with the board's needs,
Right.
committee's needs.
Right.
So I still
So-
think we actively engage in finding 2 new members.
Okay,
At that time, there is a process we will have to go through with the state
Mhm.
and the town to acknowledge the fact that we're growing our board from 3 to 5. And I'm sure those individuals that join us will want some time to get the flow of things. I know when I first started on the Conservation Committee, it was the same way. There is a learning curve.
right. Now, does
And-
anybody want me to proceed, or somebody that wants me to wait at putting anything on the cable, contacting the town administrator first, or how do you want to work that, as far
Well,
as
there's
trying
nothing
to
to
get another?
contract the town administrator about. Every committee is actively engaged
Right,
in
but
getting.
I like to
yeah.
keep the town administrator
Yeah.
basically
No,
up to date on things that we do.
Feel
that
free.
that we change or whatever,
Feel free. It's in the minutes, it's public.
right.
As a matter of fact, that initiative to grow boards didn't start here, right?
Yeah, so basically what I'm asking you is, how do you want to proceed from here, from this point? Are you in agreement that you think we should
Going
have
to five?
5?
Sure.
Okay. How do you want to proceed from here on out then?
Well, we can send a note to the cable committee, you can inform Jason, you can
Right.
do whatever you feel is appropriate. I would consider soliciting, whether we grow to 5 or not, soliciting for new members is always a good thing.
Right,
Soliciting either in the context of growing the board or alternates. We wouldn't be telling Jason hey, we're looking for alternates. He knows that,
right.
along with every other
Right,
committee.
right, that's right.
He knows that. He knows that very well.
Right.
Growing the board to 5, if he doesn't know that, he knows it now, and if you're going to inform him again,
So maybe something in the HLN,
for
something like that, or,
well,
I mean, under letters to the
doesn't
editor.
doesn't that cost us money?
Well, if you put in something like letters to the editor that you're looking for,
Letters to the editor, sure, that works. That doesn't
that's
cost
an
anything.
easy way to get in the,
We can craft up a slide for the cable committee.
all right,
Well, I say that. There's a possibility that a slide could be generated.
there's actually still a slide on there right now.
No,
From last year.
for members.
No, for,
No, I
just
didn't think
just a slide.
Right. So there's a number of things we can do, but I think it's important that we do it.
Dave, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Letters to the editor. The town meetings are coming up.
Okay.
Announcements.
How about a full-page spread in the Boston Globe, Section 1,
$10,000?
right,
Okay.
bang, right?
So is that something that you guys want to work as far as the letter to the editor at our next meeting on the 19th, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we'll do. Okay. Next on the agenda is federal grants. Al, I know you had a concern about that. Maybe you can just enlighten us on your thoughts for federal
Yeah,
grants.
federal grants. A lot of people get a misconception between what grants really means and then what grant research really means. I'm sure if you talk to 100 people, you'll get 100 different answers. Free money, no strings attached, or stay the hell away from it because it'll cost you more.
The key is to writing the grant. That is the key.
That's part of it. Finding the grant, first of all, and then, of course, grant execution. Writing the grant is another thing. And the worst thing is, they can only say no, but it will always be no if you never ask.
Right.
We've been challenged significantly over the years. So, one of the platforms that the Board of Selectmen made in setting up our current form of town management was a man in Jason's position, a person in Jason's current position would be able to research grants and bring a plethora of goodness. Not that a plethora of goodness hasn't occurred. I haven't been aware of any significant grants, or more importantly, grants that benefit the Mosquito Control District. I'm a little biased, but
I'd like to
So,
see some.
we need
I'd
to
like
do
to see
something,
some
right?
grants as far as culvert cleaning and stuff like that. You know?
all of those are, as a matter of fact, to your point though, on culvert
Because I
cleaning,
remember when we
there's a stormwater management plan
Right.
in place that's supposed to address culvert cleaning. It's there, right? However, out of that does not take care of the spillways that we all three walked around and looked, specifically over by the horse pond, right? Or the pond directly across from,
Right.
from the stables.
Yeah.
All of that drainage was plugged solid. And all that does is back up the vernal pools and back up and go stagnant, which is our worst enemy, right? Grants for swales and swale maintenance is what we need to be looking at, and targeting not only these big multi-million dollar, you know, everybody's got a big smile on their face. Hey, you know what this town could do with an extra $10,000 targeted for swale maintenance only? We can clean a lot of swales for $10,000.
Now, is that something that you want to
Right.
pursue on your own
Well,
time,
if
or
I
what
had
do
the
you wanna do?
assets to do it,
Yeah,
John,
I
I'd
know.
be more than happy to.
Right.
But unfortunately, I don't have the assets to do that. So, while I'd like to say yes, we can't do that. But that's what
We'll
was
see what we
meant by
can do.
grants. There's lots of opportunities. They need to be investigated.
Right.
And that's something I don't expect Donna or other town, well, I would expect
you-
Jason to manage that.
Would you,
right?
would you think a good idea would be to, maybe at our next meeting, to maybe give suggestions to the town administrator, so possibly he can know our concerns about maybe possibly trying to look into writing some of these, grants, or what do you
If-
think?
Yes, we can do that. That's a great idea. I would hope part of his charter is to be looking out for grants to support our community.
Right.
Right?
But if we
But
get,
we may be able to help him
right,
with suggestions of
right.
targeting specific areas.
right,
Right.
right. Mhm. Dave, do you have any questions, or? Of federal grants?
I just, I mean, I'm in the same position Al is about knowing to find them.
Right, right. It's really a skill, really, these grants, some of these grants, to how to write them and make sure that they're worded correctly, and there's really a knack to it.
Writing grants is yes, I'll give you that, John. Finding grants is equally as hard.
Right.
Executing them and then winning them, right? But if you don't ask, you'll never get it.
Right. Okay, next on the agenda is 2015 budget. This is the email that I got from Jason, Town Administrator. $30,850 is the budget for the 2015 mosquito season. It went up about $900. I think that's the first increase we've had in numerous years. I would say at least 6.
Yep.
At least 6 years. So our vendor has been very, very good to us.
Oh, no,
Yeah, he's done everything for us.
Right.
Yeah, he's done a great
Right.
job. And we also have $300 for general supplies, and we can use that money pretty much for whatever we decide to use it for. And we discussed about maybe possibly purchasing the bat boxes with some of the money. So bat box is about $150, not including the post. The post would be like a 20-foot post.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
we
gonna be
can-
up there.
Maybe we could get something from Home Depot, or a donation or something like that. Maybe we can work on something like that.
Well, I would also, well, we're gonna have a discussion in a minute about bat boxes, I
Okay,
hope.
right.
Or is this it?
No, this isn't
Down
it.
later. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that later, yeah.
Okay. Any questions on the budget, 2015 budget? Obviously, we lost a lot of our line items from when we first started. We used to have,
Okay.
we used to have the computer in there, we used to have our meeting minutes.
Right, I mean, this is basically
Stuff
the
like-
contract.
All that stuff's underneath, yeah, all that stuff is underneath the town umbrella now. Town automatically does that now for us, so. Okay, next is chairman comments for the 2014 mosquito season. as I said previously, when I talked to Shayla, town of Litchfield actually made out pretty well at 2014 as far as West Nile and Triple E. We didn't have any. So that's a good thing, right? A lot of towns weren't as fortunate, like Derry. Where's my list? Sorry. My list here. Where's my list? Derry, Londonderry, all positive for Triple E. Danville, Amherst, Portsmouth.
Portsmouth got hit hard this
Yeah,
year,
they did.
or last year, yeah.
Hampstead, Kingston, Newton, Candia, Raymond. And as far as animals, was Candia, Nottingham, and Sanborn. For human cases, it was Conway, Hopkinton, and Manchester, New Hampshire, so right next door.
Right next door, our bordering community.
Exactly, yeah. As you know, in 2014, we did our barrier applications. It's on August 27th by our contracted vendor, Municipal Pest Management Services, Kittery, Maine. He applied the barrier applications to the tree line. And as I stated before, it's not dangerous to humans, animals, birds, microorganisms, or amphibians. And the locations were Corningfield, Jeff Lane, GMS, LMS, Innisfield, Sawmill Fields, the tennis courts at Sawmill, Dara Pond, and Campbell High School. And we only used 180 ounces of the cross-check
Yep, right.
application for all those fields. So it was a very minimal amount for each particular location. During that time, I contacted the Conservation Commission prior to, the Board of Selectmen, the health officer, the local cable channels, the police department. Al contacted the fire department. He escorted us around, which was very nice. Mosquito Control District put up signage days before the barrier applications to notify the public. Obviously, I talked to the health officer about contacting St. Francis about barrier applications, which we discussed. I contacted the conservation about bat boxes. I talked to our vendor, Municipal Pest Management, about adding the bike path and the ropes course at no charge, and he said that they would do that for us, free of charge.
We've been doing the ropes
Yeah.
course, right?
Not way in the back.
Right.
remember
right,
before,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yep.
But we have the bike path now
Right.
added on, so that's a good thing. I think Selectman Perry, that was one of his concerns, was the bike path. And I heard that from him, so I asked Municipal if they would do it for free, and they said yes.
The entire length of it?
Excuse me?
They're doing the entire length?
I believe so, yes, yeah. Also, we won Mosquito Week, which ran from June 22nd to June 28th. For our efforts on mosquito control and prevention, some of the states participating were Texas, Oregon, and Connecticut, and that was a free one-year membership to the American Mosquito Control Association. Surveyed recreational fields, like I did my walk there, school facilities. I removed a very, very large tarp over at Dara Pond that had probably, I would say probably 150, 200 gallons of water sitting on top. Me and a few other people that were hanging around managed to dump all the water off and fold it back up again. So we did that.
This was on school property?
That was at Dara Pond.
Oh, at Darrell Pond,
Yeah, Dara Pond, yeah. I contacted the Recreation Commission about our findings with the tarp, and I told them that to keep an eye on stuff like that, as well as the rubbish barrels
Right.
and stuff like that. We used the outside reader board for messages for our tick prevention. We distributed over 1,000 flyers from the state at no charge to area businesses at 3 schools. We sent letters to area businesses thanking them for distributing our flyers. What else we got here? And that's pretty much it for 2014. So there was a lot of work involved. Hopefully 2015 will keep going in a positive direction. Any questions about the 2014 season? Al?
No, sir. I think
Dave?
you summed it up nicely.
Goals for the 2015, that's the next item on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay. Some of the things that I was thinking of is, I would like to get a mosquito control logo, which I discussed with, Dave knows about that, Al. Maybe through the graphic arts department at Campbell High School, somebody might want to take it on as a project. Another goal that I had was installing the bat boxes, working with the Conservation Commission to install theirs. Maybe get some recommendations from Joan where to put these bat boxes, or maybe get some information from the state, tell us where to best attract the most bats in town. Also, I'd like us to have what is called a red book, which would have emails, phone numbers, locations, combinations of locks in case of an emergency for our barrier applications, emails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who to contact, all that. One for each member, so we're all on the same page, in case there is an emergency where we have AAA contacts. One actually for the health officer, too.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't have
He probably
the
has some.
information
Right,
already at hand,
Right.
given he's the zoning and building and health officer combined.
I'd like to improve the webpage that we have now, maybe update it, put some additional stuff on it. It's very good right now. There's a lot of great information on there. And Shayla, I don't know if you have extra time, if you want to do even more research, you can look on our town webpage. You click on Town of Litchfield, and they'll take you to the website, and you can click on government. What does it say? Government meetings? No, government. It says government.
Yeah.
Yeah. You click on government, and then it comes. Then it'll show you mosquito control, board of selectmen, and all that, and that'll take you right to our webpage. Also, Jason said that he'd help us with plastic holders for our literature for area businesses and schools and stuff. He said all we have to do is tell them the sizes we needed, and they'll supply them for free. Also, I talked to Jason. Jason also said if we needed any repellent for the district, he said that we could, the town would work with us in giving us some if we needed some. Also, one of the things that I've been thinking about for many years was Kim Foss attending some of the elementary schools in town. She says during the off-season, she goes to classrooms and talks about ticks and mosquitoes and stuff like that to the children at the school. So that's one of the things that I was definitely looking into over the past couple of years. I'd like to see done in 2015. Obviously, updating our plan that we have presently. I think the last time it was updated 2010, from what I understand.
Officially, yes.
Officially, yeah. So this will be the 5th year. Also, we could have some suggestions that I think we should have is maybe another info booth. Information maybe at some of the more attended recreational
Yep.
games and stuff like that. I can probably supply the drinks through Coca-Cola with donations.
Yep.
So we can do that. And also member duties. We discussed that before, Al. We talked about Al going to some of the meetings in town, school district, board of selectmen, and we talked to you about maybe updating the website, yeah, stuff like that. those are my thoughts for the 2015 season. Obviously, the next thing on the agenda is the chairman elections in March. This might change, this might not. It depends on who will be elected chairman in March.
Now, before we close,
Before we close on that, go
before
ahead,
we
Al.
close on 14,
Sorry, I'm losing my voice already.
historically, we've let our intentions be known at this final meeting prior to new chairman elections.
Right.
It's nice, I think we're all consistent with those objectives. However, I believe once the new chairman sits for the first part of the opening meeting next meeting, that these goals are considered, and whoever is there considers what may be presented by the rest of the board. What I'd like to suggest as we close on agenda item 14
Yeah.
is to, I make a motion to discuss and finalize goals, major goals and objectives as a meeting topic for the March 19th agenda item to follow public input, chairman elections, and then goals and objectives as the next agenda item.
All right, I'll second that. Discussion?
Basically, that will allow the board to consider of what's just been read and what other members may or may not think pertinent
Right.
to be inputted to the new chairman
So-
as information and objectives to be considered and voted on.
So basically, have your ideas ready for the March 19th meeting?
Right.
For 2015?
Right.
Right.
Because as we know, we all have a lot of good intentions,
Right.
but we don't have the bandwidth to execute against. So we need to be very selective and very focused on what little bandwidth we have so that we maximize the benefit of it.
Any other
That's good.
discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? The ayes have it, motion passes 300. Next is chairman elections in March, which we just discussed, so move on. Next is the bat boxes, what Al's been waiting for, okay.
Oh, boy. Wow.
I just gave you in your packet there about a particular bat box that we may or may not be looking at. We have to decide soon, before they all run out. Believe it or not, we were going to get if you look on where is it? If you look on the last page, in the middle, the bat can,
I prefer the Batmobile myself if we're doing
right,
it. Yeah.
it's the last page, Al.
Yeah.
Three-room house is nice.
Yeah, the bat
Yeah.
can, that was available, now it's not, that's how fast they sell. So,
How can a can not, I'm sorry.
Actually-
I'm not even gonna go there.
actually,
I
these,
won't.
the one that is available is the one on the cover. Okay, this one right here, the Bat Bunker Plus.
That's why the Bat cans are out. This is the Cadillac model.
Right.
All the Volkswagens are
Right.
gone. We only made two, and they sold out. Now we
Okay.
got these Cadillacs that we're gonna,
Okay, just want to read a little bit of here. There's a molded outer shell. The outer shell is seamless, one-piece design. Virtually indestructible. Provide a safe, watertight, and draft-free environment that will last for many years with no maintenance required. Okay. This bat box obviously doesn't rust. It's made with bat-friendly roughened plywood, okay?
Bat-friendly what? Rough?
Roughened plywood.
Wow. So let me see, I'm not the smartest tack in the box, but plywood, water,
Right,
and bat dung
okay,
doesn't sound like
okay.
a rugged construction
Okay,
technique.
I'm gonna answer those questions right now. The interior baffles are still made from traditional yellow pine plywood. This helps to add mass, thereby retaining heat at night. Bat bunkers never need cleaning as the droppings simply fall to the ground. Baffles are estimated to last easily over 20 years, based on similar material used in other bat houses. So from what they're telling us here, I guess these are made in Pennsylvania. So these are, from what I've researched, is that these last virtually up to 20 years without any maintenance whatsoever. So,
So just a couple of quick ones,
go ahead.
right?
And I'm not an expert in bat boxes, so
No,
go ahead.
they're not, and neither am I. But I do realize these are gonna cost money,
Yeah, they cost,
of which, out of our massive $300 budget,
okay,
we really gotta understand the benefits of
right,
the bat versus mosquito and a significant portion of our budget. That's number one.
right.
Over the past 30 years that I've been in town, Joan has been actively engaged in the conservation committee and has had opportunity more than we'll ever have of providing for ecologically friendly environmental housing. Bats, birds,
Right.
some kind of woodpecker at one point, but bar all that, I have two concerns. Let's assume we buy 2 or 3 of these. I don't know what they cost, what the unit costs are.
They
but-
cost about $200 each.
Oh, then at
So it's going to be
best,
one.
it may be half of one
Right,
or one. I can't see ever voting 2/3 of my budget to one article. But we'll get past that.
Right.
These things need to be installed out in unreachable areas of conservation land. So you're gonna take a vehicle somewhere, drive it, and then you're gonna walk through conservation wetlands and drive a 30-foot post down 10 feet so that you have a minimum of 20 feet sticking up out of a swamp somewhere.
well, one of the
Now, that would be more environmentally disturbing to me than, and while the bat box might not rust or be decayed by matter,
right,
how is it held to the posts?
it's bolted.
Those bolts don't rust? And it's metal poles or wooden stakes or whatever it
It's
is
a
gonna
wooden pole.
last
It's a
as
wooden-
long?
It's a wooden pole.
Okay.
Right.
So those are just some of the concerns.
Right, well, one of the concerns that you mentioned was the location of the bat boxes. Now, I'm not an expert of where the bat boxes are going to go, but I would assume that they would use, obviously, a place where somebody could actually get to someplace and put it into the ground. Maybe on the outskirts of where you're talking about where there's water and swamp or whatever. Vernal pools or
Whatever it is, right. It's certainly not gonna be in somebody's backyard,
And that's,
privately
right,
owned land.
and that's something that we'd have to
Right.
discuss with Joan, and maybe somebody from the state can help us out with, maybe just do some topography of this, which we already have in our town, right?
Yep.
Of the best location to put the bat boxes. These bat boxes are specifically made to attract these bats. I mean, we could say, we could have some students at Campbell High School make us some bat boxes too. That would be fine. I don't have any problem with that. but these are specifically made to attract bats.
I'm
And if they're
not
not,
disputing that,
right,
right?
and if they're not measured
it's-
to a certain, certain length inside here, I mean, specifications are really, really tight. And if you go off those specifications, they won't
Right.
roost, they won't come to these
Right.
bat boxes. So this is just one of the things that I was thinking of doing. I know Joan mentioned it a long
Oh,
time.
yeah, no, this is not a new
Right.
topic.
Right,
At
because
all.
I want to give her credit. I want to
Yeah.
make sure, I don't want to tell anybody it's just my idea. Joan mentioned it a long time ago. I think it was must have been the first year, second year of our.
Oh, I guarantee you, it was the
Right.
first year.
Right,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just wanted to do something environmentally, like we're doing right
We-
now.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
lots
But this
of
is in
things.
addition to,
Right.
so.
If the board would, my only real fundamental hangup here is funding.
Right.
And just at $200 a pop, even if we said, okay, let's be generous and offer up a third of our budget.
Split it, yeah.
A third, right? It's a massive amount of our budget. And what I don't really understand is the return for the investment. So a huge chunk of budget without understanding what the real return is, John.
Well, the return is actually trying to try to save the bat population, because
I'm sorry, I'm not in the conservation business. I want to know how many mosquitoes the bats eat so I can judge whether I spend a third of my budget
well,
on mosquito control issues.
those are the
right?
things that we'll never know, actually.
But there has to be
Then
some statistical analysis
Who else
on,
uses these? And
other than the conservation committee.
They use them a lot in Pennsylvania and stuff, from what I've researched. They've used them at different colleges and stuff, they use them.
but use them and then get some type of measurement as far as,
I don't know what the results were, as far as if they can calculate, the effect of them, as far as mosquitoes concerns, or I don't know if their only objective was to kill mosquitoes, or was it just for like I just
right, I
spoke
mean,
about.
that's the type of thing we need to know.
Right. Well-
How does it affect the mosquito population? If having a bat box consumes, 20 bats per box by 5 pounds of mosquitoes a month, that's something we can justify.
Okay.
But if I went to the budget committee and said, hey, I got this great idea,
Right.
but I can't tell you how it impacts my committee, I think we need to understand that.
Actually, there was a gentleman on the budget committee, Mr. Patucci. He was in favor of this, of actually funding this
Through the district or through the conservation committee?
through the district.
Wow.
They were, yeah, he was, because he said, I want to see the bat boxes up, so he was encouraged from the town. I couldn't attend the budget hearing. I asked the town administrator to go on my behalf, but he mentioned about the bat boxes, and Mr. Patucci said that he was very interested in seeing the bat boxes
I'm
go
not
up.
saying it's a bad idea.
Right.
I just,
But
I
I'm
know
just,
what it does.
but
Yeah,
this can hold as many as 1,200 bats. I have some of the information about,
This is away from my house, right?
yeah. And I did have, now that you mentioned it, from what I can remember, is I did have the actual statistics of how many mosquitoes an average bat eats during the course of a night.
so, I guess,
Now that
Mr. Chairman,
now
yeah.
that I'm remembering, but
In order to close on the bat box issue, if you could communicate to an independent expert, Michael, ask him and his team what what information do they have in mosquito prevention and control, the benefit of bats and bat boxes, so that at least the board has something tangible to correlate to the benefit of mosquitoes versus the health and welfare of bats,
Right.
which is out of our jurisdiction.
Right. I don't want to really speak for him, but I'm sure he'll say any type of
I want
mosquito
some-
prevention
some.
would be a benefit.
Well, then we have something tangible to weigh our decisions on.
All right,
Chairman.
I'll get that
That's
answer
all.
for you at the next
Right.
meeting, then, March 19th.
Great.
Next is any other business. Anybody have any other business? Dave?
Nothing that won't wait until next, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, you were looking at Dave.
No,
And I wasn't paying attention. I
that's-
apologize.
that's fine.
Chairman.
Okay. Al,
No, sir, I'm good.
I'm all set with that. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So be it.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 300. Meeting ended at 8:30. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we'll see you at our next meeting on March 19th. Thanks, and have a great night.
And welcome to the 2015 mosquito season.
Good night, everybody.
$200 on the box.
Yeah.